Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We have three major EZAs today to get through, and we're starting with EZA TEQ LR Jiren. The LR Golden Freezer in 17 video might be a little bit later than the other two, just because I have one Jiren link that is stuck at level 9 that won't tick over to level 10, and I'm being stubborn and I don't want to buy the keys. So we'll just have to see what happens. But Jiren is at 90%, level 10 links. He's starting the turn with attack and defense plus 300%, has damage reduction of 30% on his first entry for one turn only. And we're starting out with a 716k attack stat, 358k defense, along with that one turn damage reduction and the additional 100% attack and defense that Jiren has, and guaranteed guard as long as your HP is at 40% or more at the start of turn. We get him a 24 key as well? No, but if we did get him a 24 key, he does disable the attacked enemy's action once within the turn. So just keep that in mind. If you do get a 24 key with Jiren, when you super attack, you will disable one of the enemy's actions. But we are starting out with a 12.8 million attack stat. And considering he's missing some links and also missing some attack and defense, starting out with a 12 million attack stat like that, kind of mad. That's one thing this Jiren definitely has, and that's numbers, and big numbers at that. Not only that as well, within the next few weeks, it's jam-packed anyway being a global player right now. Within the next couple weeks, of course, we recently got TEQ LR UI Goku, we're going to get Dokkan Fest Topo, and then we're more than likely going to get AGL LR Jiren as well, which of course works really well with the EZA TEQ LR Jiren. So do keep that in mind. On 18 key super attack, he is getting 100% attack and defense, causing Murdercross damage to the enemy and massively lowering defense by 80%. Now, usually I wouldn't really focus on that too much, but lately there's been a few stages here and there where you can actually debuff enemies. So that 80% lowering Jiren gets on 18 key can actually be somewhat useful. He also has a 50% chance to stun, but you can't really utilize that anywhere just because there's hardly any events in the entire game where you actually get to stun. Then on 12 key, he's greatly raising attack and defense by 50%, causing cross damage to the enemy, and greatly lowering defense by 50%. Now, if you get Jiren's additional in his passive, and then get lucky enough for the potential system to pop, those few stages where you can debuff the enemy, not only is that a lot of attack and defense for Jiren himself, and that's a lot of debuff to the enemy from one unit. So do keep that in mind. And then if Jiren's HP does drop to 80% or less starting from the 5th turn, which isn't really too bad with the Supreme Magnificent Battle and the more recent Red Zone stages being a little bit longer than what we were used to with Fusion Zamasu, so turn 5 is fine. Or if your HP goes down to 40% or less at the start of turn, Jiren will gain an additional 200% attack and defense. So you have an either or condition there, which is good. However, as I mentioned, Jiren will only keep his 100% attack and defense and guaranteed guard as long as your HP is at 40% or more. So you mainly want that 200% attack and defense he's getting with the other condition, which is 80% HP or more, or 80% HP or less, and kind of maintain it around that mark. Or as long as it's above 40%, so you keep his guard from turn 5. Because Jiren without his guard, yes, Jiren can get quite a bit in terms of just sheer stats. However, with the amount of damage enemies are doing nowadays, especially on super, Jiren with just sheer stats isn't enough, even with that extra 200% attack and defense. And especially at that point, you would have lost the 100% you have with your HP being at 40% or more. So, okay, that was actually quite a lot, but to be fair, he hasn't super attacked yet. 13.1. I mean, technically that does mean now we do have a 200% attack and defense, but that now does mean we've lost his guard. Big 8.6 mil crit. There's an additional 8.3 on that. That's another 50% attack and defense. Dupe system. Triple. We did get a triple, it just wasn't a super attack. That's really jarring. And then, of course, the disable he gets. So yeah, you do want to maintain your HP at 40% or more so you can have the 100% attack and defense, his guaranteed guard, and also the extra 200% attack and defense as well. So you can have all of that active at one time. And also just, again, Jiren without guard, it's pretty much game over at that point. Things will get really techie, especially with Goku and Frieza being the final enemy of the Universe Survival Saga Supreme Magnificent Battle. They are currently the hardest enemy in the game because they hit so goddamn hard. Jiren also gets Ki +3 with each attack received up to 11, which is basically 4 attacks. And with the amount of attacks that come in Red Zone and Supreme Magnificent Battle, that will take you no time at all. You can get that done with literally a handful of turns, unless you get quite unlucky with the attack patterns and Jiren's hardly taken any attacks. Or maybe you kind of have to shimmy some units around, or what we've seen a bit more recently, which we haven't seen in a while, which is one of my most despised things in the entire game. And that is, of course, units that lock. So if a rotation ends up getting locked and you have to shimmy Jiren around, you know, you might not be able to build that up as quickly as you need be, but it takes no time at all anyway, so it shouldn't be an issue. Jiren also launches an additional super attack starting from the turn in which the character receives the 3rd attack in battle, which I'm pretty sure we just saw last turn, which Jiren taking three attacks in battle, again, will take you no time at all. One thing Jiren definitely does have is a lot of big numbers quickly, and his build up in his passive is also extremely quick. You take 3 attacks literally in 1 turn, almost all the time. Jiren will also perform a guaranteed crit when he target enemies in attack down status, in defense down status, or stun, excuse me. Bit of a hiccup. Which also is very nice. Again, you can debuff here and there, so it is useful. Again, the stunned isn't really happening too often. We do have Jiren's active skill, which you can use once you've taken 5 or more attacks in battle, which again is very easy to do. And Jiren does get 30% attack and defense. All enemies get minus 30% attack and defense. And this part isn't really too important, but all enemies are stunned for 1 turn as well. So we might as well pop this.
Trust is for the weak. Strength is everything.
It's some of the older animations, yeah. But I can't lie, I love how menacing Jiren actually looks in that. And with the active skill, 1.2 million on the attack stat, 596k defense. Let me use a Whis as well, just to make sure we survive. Jiren surely is going to be alright in slot 1. He says, famous last words. Famous last words. Yeah, we're good, we're good. What are we putting out? 20 mil. To be fair, I'm pretty sure his attack and defense would be a bit higher, again, if our HP is at 40% or more. Because not only would we have that 200%, but then also the 100% from that condition as well, along with his active skill being active. But still, crazy numbers regardless. Crazy numbers regardless. And one thing that I definitely noticed once TEQ LR Goku come out is that Jiren is another unit that will benefit from TEQ LR Goku's domain. Not the dodge portion, I mean, unless you fed him some dodge in the dupe system or skill orbs, which fair enough. But he will benefit from the buff. Not only will he get the superclass, units buff, and also Jiren belongs to Realm of Gods. So Jiren will also get the extra attack plus 15% as well from being a Realm of Gods category unit. Which means, combined with his active skill, in fact, even without it, Jiren without his active skill alone, he's going to be putting out big numbers from TEQ LR Goku's domain. Combine that being active when you use Jiren's active skill, and again, hopefully having all of his extra attack and defense and having your HP like bang in the middle of that threshold, so you have the 100%, so you have the guard, and so your turn 5 and onward to have that extra 200% as well. Combine all of those extra numbers with UI Goku's domain and Jiren's active skill, and Jiren's attack and defense is ridiculous. And again, he's still going to get better because he's then going to be able to link with the AGL one eventually when he drops on global, which again will probably be very, very soon, within the next few weeks or so. So Jiren will go from doing just over 20 mil probably to close to 30 mil, which is insane. Insane amounts of damage. Defense also gets a little bit better, but again, Jiren doesn't have too much in terms of sheer stats, which is why it's always important to have that HP threshold or linger around it, so you have his guard active. But Jiren, very, very strong. And again, he's only going to get a bit better on global because we are waiting for AGL LR Jiren to drop. But another unit that is benefiting from LR UI Goku's domain and putting out big numbers. I mean, we've already seen huge numbers from AGL, UI, Goku, SSBE. Yeah, Jiren is doing more than that. Again, combined with his active skill, Jiren is doing more damage than that. But his EZA is very, very good. Very good. As I said, that one-turn damage reduction in the beginning combined with guard is very good early on when units need to build up and you're most vulnerable, especially with enemies doing so much damage in the beginning nowadays. The guard is a necessity. I'm not going to lie. If Jiren does lose his guard and you go down to 40% HP or less, Jiren does become a liability. Like, the risk just outweighs his numbers. You have it active. He's very, very solid. As I said, he does get a lot of bonus defense from super attacking, from the extra attacker defense in his passive, if you get it all active, including the active skill. I do think, actually, I don't think, I know, from the hardest super attacks in the game, which eventually will also be Goku and Frieza, you are going to need an item active, otherwise he will probably get you killed, or very most likely get you one shot. Normal-wise, I think with everyone, I think he's good. Always try and keep that guard active. Jiren is a unit where you might have to bite the bullet, put away your pride, and use items to make sure you keep his guard up. If you're doing no item runs, then fair enough, but you definitely want to keep that, because as soon as you lose it, Jiren gets techie, Jiren will lose you the run. So it is one of them. He's very good if everything's all set up. As I said, he's pretty much a liability and becomes a glass house or a glass cannon without the guard. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a great rest of your day, and peace.